Today I'm going to be dealing with the 3 most common mistakes that homeowners make when they're doing their own drywall. Hi, I'm Jeff from Home Renovision. I've been doing YouTube videos for 5 years now. Been a contractor most of my life. And I've seen all kinds of different scenarios. And so today I'm going to show you all the information I've gathered from my personal experience, but not just that, from all the members in our forum. All right, they were constantly getting questions. How do I fix this? They show us pictures. How do I fix that? So I'm going to cover the 3 most important mistakes that people make. First one, of course, is it's in the mindset. Most homeowners think of a piece of drywall as a building material that they would rather use than throw in the garbage. For example, they'll have a piece like this, and they'll be like, well, that's a nice big piece of drywall. I don't want to throw that out. So I'm going to just go ahead and stick this on a wall. And there's my first piece. The problem with this is if you want to stick 5 or 6 of these on the wall, sooner or later, your wall starts to look more like a puzzle than a wallboard. I want you to think with this way. Every wall in most homes needs 2 sheets of drywall, one horizontally across the top and one across the bottom. Everything else that's smaller than that wall is actually garbage. So when you're doing your drywall work, start with your longest pieces first. So check and measure, get all your 12s, your 10s, your 8-foot longs. Install the ceilings first, then do all the longest walls first, and work your way down through all your drywall. And hopefully, a lot of your offcuts you can use on small sections like wrapping around the edge of a wall, right? Or up around the header of a door. But if you have leftover pieces that are smaller, and you should have a full sheet on the wall, throw it in the garbage. And here's why. Every time you put a piece on like this, you have to do a tape joint. And the drywall mud and compound that you're going to use, every time you do a joint, costs more time and money than just buying another sheet of drywall. Remember, an 8-foot sheet of drywall is $8. Every time you have to buy a box of mud, it's 20 to 25. That's a waste of time and money. So, don't waste your time and money. Throw this in the garbage. I know in today's day and age, we're always like, we try not to waste stuff. But if you use this, you're wasting drywall compound. It's a catch-22. So don't waste your time, save your time and money, and get a more professional result. Now here comes to mistake number 2. And we're going to be dealing specifically when you're doing really long walls and you have to have a butt joint. Here's my sample board again. A butt joint is a factory edge. You know it's a factory edge because you've got paper wrap on it. It's really clean. It's cut perfectly straight. And when you're installing your drywall, your factory edges should be right in the middle of a stud every time. What a lot of people do is they'll start in a corner and they'll put the drywall sheet and it won't stop in the middle of a stud. It'll stop in the middle of a bay. What you want to do, if you're on a really long wall, you just want to start in the middle of the wall. Measure from the middle of the stud back to your corner. And then measure from the drywall where it's going to go this way and then cut it. That way the factory edge stays here. And then when you're measuring this side, you measure left to right. And then you draw on your drywall left to right and you cut the right side. So when you install it, your 2 factory edges are butting up together. That's the best way to do it. This allows you to screw both sheets to the same stud and it eliminates the ability for that to crack in the future. All right, so when you're doing a really long wall and you're going to have extra sheets, start in the middle of the wall and mark right in the middle of the stud, okay? And then you reach all the way across to a corner and you take that measurement. In this case, it's 71 1/4. Now watch this. Measure from your factory edge to 71 1/4. That's your cut mark. And then what you take this piece and you lift it up and you put it right into the corner of the wall and it'll finish right on this mark. That way the next sheet, we can measure from the other side of the sheet and you can put factory edge to factory edge. That way you don't get a crack. Now the last mistake that I see homeowners making all the time is they don't understand the concept of staggering your joints. Generally speaking, in construction, every time you're doing multiple layers of the same material, you want to stagger the joints. It helps us deal with expansion contraction issues. But in drywall specifically, it's not so much about that. It's about the tape joint and how you're going to get a finished wall. I'll explain to you this way. So here's the issue if you put the joint on top of the other. This is what we call a butt joint. And in drywall, we have 2 kinds of joints. One is tapered, which is always this finished edge where the paper wraps around. And one is a butt joint where it's cut during the assembly line. When you put 2 butt joints together, you have to add mud and then paper and then mud and mud and mud. Okay, and you have to build it out and stretch it out so it looks smooth. But if you put joint on top of joint, now in your wall, you're actually going to have a flat surface and then there's going to be a big bump and then another flat surface. I don't care what kind of lighting you have in your house, that's going to show up all day long. The secret to doing this is to stagger your joint so that this joint is here and then 4 feet further away there's another joint. Because I can stretch a drywall joint out over a few feet and then into the next one higher up and I can feather and I can bend the light as it is when you're taping so that you can't see any of those joints unless you're looking at it sideways with a flashlight. Remember, drywall isn't about making it perfectly flat or smooth. It's about the illusion that we create when taping so that you don't get a shadow. Keep that in mind with your lighting as well. Keep the lights away from the edges. So I gave you the top 3. Here's a bonus mistake people make. Most homeowners that are drywalling are finishing their basement. And if you're putting drywall directly on concrete, you're guaranteed to cause mold. I don't care how new your house is. Now watch. Get yourself one of these tools and when you're ready to screw it in, lift it up. About a 1/2 inch off the floor. There we go. Problem solved. Today's shout out goes to Patrice. He did his own bathroom renovation. Lots of folks have been on our site, watched our videos and renovated their own bathrooms. It is awesome and encouraging to see all the video submissions and pictures coming in. Send in your pictures to Instagram and Facebook so we can share with the world. Let us know where you live. Let us know what you do for a living. We can share all that information and encourage our community. They can do it. You know you can do it. You're your best contractor. Let's get back to the video. When you're putting the drywall on top, if you just put the screws in the bottom and you go, okay, it's secured, I'm gonna go get some more stuff or whatever. If somebody opens the door to the room, it creates a vacuum and it'll pull it right on top of their head. And that, you'll learn the hard way. Well, that basically covers all the mistakes that you can make as a homeowner. Now, if you want to learn how to do drywall properly and do all the taping, you can click the link right here. It's how to install drywall from A to Z. It's a huge video that covers all the information you're going to need. I designed that system for homeowners so you don't have to use all those fancy tools you see in the TikTok videos. Just a couple hand tools. Cheers till next time.